Yesterday this went all fluently, so let's hope for today the same. We have to wait a little bit. Okay, and this is the second day of JCON with my first guest. What is your name and what brings you to this conference?
My name is Aicha Laafia, and what brings me to this conference is Java, really Java.
So you are a Java lover, user, developer?
Yes, I'm a Java lover. Like, I drink Java, I work with Java. Well, I wish I live in Java land.
Yeah, that's a nice goal for life. And you have a talk. So what's the talk about?
It's about Green Cloud, how to implement sustainable Java application in a more like greener cloud. It's more practical, like the practice you can do as coding in Java. And if you want to go more advanced, you want to deploy it, how you can really manage your resources in Kubernetes, like some tips and hacks how to do so.
So as a Java developer, I can use certain techniques, programming systems in Java to make it more green?
Actually, yes, because mainly we are talking about clean code, and it's the first step into the green code. Because clean code can make your application more maintainable, but green code can make it more sustainable. And this is why like it's simple. Like you can use some algorithms that use less power and less CPU over it, less cycle and so on. Also, you can go for this is my first one, the GVM. You need to make sure your GVM is not using like many resources. You can start with choosing the right garbage collector for your use case or even tweak some GVM options and so on. There are really some simple steps you can do that can like make your application more sustainable. Because for the fact our tech industry contribute to 4% of greenhouse gas emissions. And with AI and so on, it's going like up.
Crazy.
Yes. And this is why like and as a developer, we cannot really go to the stakeholders to tell them, well, we need to make sure that we are using more like friendly environment resources. But as a developer, we can make sure our code of lines are efficient, are greener.
Uh, this is a bit of an eye opener for me. So I was thinking, yeah, I can make sure my environment is green because I only use the servers that I need. I use them to the maximum. Uh, what is, for instance, the impact of the garbage collector? How can the garbage collector be greener?
Actually, like it depends. If you want something more like in real time, we want to make sure that the deposit time are low. You can use Shenandoah. I love Shenandoah because it doesn't matter what the memory size you have. It always makes sure you have the lowest deposit time. And if you are more something like Apache is high throughput, you can work with parallel GC. It's already like when this. Otherwise, if you don't know where to start with, first thing first, like start with the having a GDK that's 21 or more, because you have G1 GC by default, which is good, like idle for real-time application, and it also is have low POSIX time, because the longest the POSIX time they are, the more energy we are going to waste for like the machine to have to work when it doesn't do anything, like really more efficient and so on. So this is why like you have first thing to do is choose the right garbage collection. Second thing is you don't have to rely on the GVM default like settings. You can tweak some, for example, the percent of the target that the heap using. We have like a lot of settings we can do for or how many mixed GC you want, how many like mixed garbage collection you want to use running your code and so on. You can like customize this.
So I also hear that you say the version is important. So if I cannot change my code, if I bump to a newer runtime, I switch from 17 to 21, will that already make a difference?
Yes, because we already like we will have advanced garbage collection, and that's something I really loved about Java because they're they know the impacts of the garbage collection, and the garbage collection itself, the old one wasn't doing some really good job. It wasn't cleaning enough because virtual you can say garbage matters too, and they are making sure that it's more advanced, it's more like cleaning, more greener too, and also for the fact that some we can say some real features. For example, virtual treats helps too. Structured treats, that's much better, because even virtual treats it's a good, but if you are using it only for example, calculating methods or monolithics, don't use it, please. Yes, better use structured concurrency. It's way better because virtual treats have a long process time, a long waiting time, and that sound like actually, and also for records too, they are greener than relying on the classic class methods or class entities and so on. So for me, the better use the latest feature in Java, because they are paying attention to sustainability too.
Um, so yeah, we have the code that we can improve. What can we do on the infrastructure? If you're running in the cloud, what can we do there to achieve a greener solution?
Actually, first thing, or some I'm going to say in my talk, it's about implementing techniques like HPA, horizontal pod autoscaler, because we don't know sometimes when we need to like have more pods, when we need to have more, like, because we cannot predict the scale, or like for example, how much work we'll need after. If we are like, we'll say we will deploy 3 containers, but we only work with one most of the time, so we're wasting two, and that's a lot of resources. For horizontal autoscale or like pod autoscaler, it does the work itself. When we have like we specify, for example, if the CPU overheat is more than 30%, it will create another pods, and when it's scaled down, it will like eliminate that pods. That's something that's really good. There's also like VPA, vertical pod autoscaler. It's beyond the HPA. It makes sure that each pod has the correct amount of resources that needs to work. This is something like we don't need to monitor our pods, our containers. We let HPA and VPA do the work itself. And also, we need to limit the resources. We don't just let the containers take as much resources as they could, because if we let the machine consume this, they will always like get the maximum resources, and we waste a lot of them. And that's the main purpose of creating sustainable application.
Um, what people maybe forget is if you make a greener application, you reduce the cost. You don't need not that much pots. So is this a technique to sell this approach to your manager?
Actually, yes, because when people talk about green programming, stakeholders often think we are going to cut resources, we're going to reduce the number of customers. When it's the opposite, we're going on scale, we're reducing the cost of electricity, of like the CPU and so on. Even machines right now, instead of relying on traditional one, we're going on the cloud. We even like reducing the cloud bills and so on. So this is why you can say that sustainable application saves the environment in your pockets too.
Okay, which is a very nice message. Um, you're a Java lover. What are you looking forward that will come in the next versions?
Well, for me, it's more like concurrency, especially like treats and virtual treats better work on the waiting time, because it's cool thing that we are right now talking about parallel working and tasks and so on, but the waiting time is not something we can really, not all people pay attention to it. And also like for tracker, maybe I think right now it's good with the records and so on, but for me it will be better if we could like reduce that. Also for the fact like I read something about nullable. I would love it could be like to work more about this approach, like in other language, instead of just have we have enough of null pointer exceptions.
Couldn't agree more.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your time, and thank you for being here at JCON, and good luck with the talk.
Thank you. And if you are still in JCON, you can watch my talk tomorrow at like afternoon 30. Thank you.
And it will be shared afterwards with the
Yes.
recording. So great, definitely want to watch. Thank you.